From the studios of Warren Tech North, this is Building Bright Futures, a Jeffco podcast with Jeffco Superintendent Dan McMinimee.
I'm Dan McMinimee, and if you like veggies, you're going to love today's podcast. Our conversation today is with Robert Lopez, the principal of Little Elementary School, along with students Alora, Aaron, and Tyler. We're going to talk about Little's Farmers Market that is held each fall. Thanks for being here with us.
Thank you, Dan.
Mr. Lopez, talk about how this all started.
First of all, Dan, thanks again for having us today. We're really excited to be here. Several years ago, actually, the community approached me about having a community garden. I thought it was a great idea, but I insisted that we also use that for educational purposes. So we actually have an outdoor classroom in our garden. And then just last year, one of my retired teachers came along and said, I really want to work with my kids that I had all the way back in second grade and do a farmer's market with them.
So these superstar sixth graders have actually been exposed to the market to the farmers market and the garden for quite some time.
Correct. The farmers market just started last fall, but we've had the garden for a couple of years now.
So you and the other organizers of the farmers market have really tried to incorporate a lot of different learning into this experience. Talk to us about the learning for students.
Sure. So it's really exciting to watch kids out there learning about everything from economics to marketing to just using everyday math skills. And then students also learning the science of farming and growing, the growing seasons, what kinds of things you can grow in Colorado, what you can't grow. So there's been many facets of learning that we've been able to address just right out in our own backyard.
So we're going to move on to the students, Alora, Aaron, and Tyler. Talk to me about what types of produce you have raised and sold in the market.
We don't have much in the way of fruits, but we have mainly sold like tomatoes and cucumbers and stuff like summer squash and different types of veggies.
We've also sold pumpkins and flowers.
We have sold lots of corn and other stuff that you can pick in the fall.
One of the other ones that we had was one that we tried to sell with the pumpkins was a Hubbard squash, and no one ended up buying it because it was so huge.
Wow. How big was it?
It's about NBA basketball size.
Yeah, it was
Holy cow.
massive.
That's a big squash. So people who've been to the market are impressed by how professional you students are. You carry clipboards, you have customized aprons, sales pitches too about the various items you sell. Talk about the preparation and the work that goes into being able to do this with the community.
Well, it all first starts with setting up. Well, we set up the tent, and then we pick our produce, and we wash them, and then we separate them into their own baskets.
Before we even started doing the actual farmers market, and before we even started picking produce and setting up tents and everything, we made our aprons. We took plain aprons and we painted them with acrylics, and then we had a lot of meetings right before school ended so that we could get prepared, like what some of our other items were and what is going to be coming in or what might be on who might buy what depending on past customers.
Then going back to the meetings, we've figured out the prices and stuff before, and then we also made this big tarp sign that we put up in front of the garden to show farmers market.
So it sounds like there was a lot of preparation that went in before the day actually happened. So once you got to the day, talk to me about what that was like when people are rolling into the parking lot and going, oh, wow, we're going to go be part of this.
There occasionally was people that would wait until school ended and we were out there starting the farmers market. And it usually started out pretty fast because it would be at least 10 people right at the start, and then it would just build and build. And then towards the end, around 4:15 or so, it would just kind of slow down and people would start leaving, and we would end up with less produce than we started with because they would just buy so much.
Wow.
And then we'd also, the first day, a lot of people came and they didn't bring much money. No, not many people brought actual money to buy stuff with because we didn't really advertise in like Friday folders. Like we advertised like once in Friday folders, which are like these folders that we get. And so we did that, and then we only like advertised that like once instead of, because not many people knew about it. not many people brought money.
So basically word of mouth then, once people started hearing about it, I'm sure you had a pretty large crowd that came.
We also went around the school with posters saying that there was a farmer's market. And we would advertise a lot in front of the school, showing that so that we would get some more customers. And we actually got several parents with their kids to come.
I think Tyler and Laura really touched on that piece of education, where they learned about marketing in their first week, where, wow, we didn't really get the word out well enough, and so, wow, how do we change that up so that we increase our sales next week? So a great example of how they learned through the process.
Yeah, our main advertisement was on one of the fences surrounding the community garden, so as people drove past, they saw it, but not a lot of people stopped on the first day. It was mainly parents with their kids, or a few people that had stopped, or parents of the kids working at the farmer's market. And there was still a bunch of people there, but not a lot brought money, because I figured that they assumed that since it was a school thing, it wouldn't be like needing actual money. But as soon as we got to the second time, it really sped up and we got a lot more people.
Well, that's amazing. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back to hear more about the farmers market at your elementary school.
Okay, what are you wearing right now?
Nothing.
That's right. So mommy's gonna teach you how to dress yourself. Underwear always comes first, name tag at the back, then pants, then shirt. Get the first button in the right hole or you have to start all over. Socks going first, then shoes, right on right, left on left. With shoelaces, just take the ends, cross them over, switch the loops, the rabbit goes down the hole, pull tight, and you're left with bunny ears. Got it? Why are your pants on your head?
Most parenting's hard to do in just 2 minutes. But 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier, and it could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. Visit 2min2x.org to find out more. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
We're back with Little Elementary Principal Robert Lopez and students Alora, Aaron, and Tyler talking about Little Elementary's Farmers Market. This is a community garden adjacent to the market. Who takes care of that garden?
It's mainly community members that have signed up and paid for a plot for the year. We get people from the school taking care of plots. We have people from around the community, usually with kids in the school. They have their own separate plots that they use, and they take care of them. But the garden also requires for community plots that people spend a certain amount of time weeding and taking care of those plots too, since it's a community garden.
And it's not just people who have kids in the school. It is also people who just live in the neighborhood or near the neighborhood that have heard about it, that just want to come and have a plot. And then we have these raised beds that are for the classes. So there's one for each grade, and then the people from that grade end up planting in that for next year.
I'd just like to add to that, as Tyler mentioned, it's been a great outreach for our school to our community to kind of re-engage maybe some of those parents that don't have school-age kids anymore. They're grandparents, and then they're re-engaged in the school and see the great things that we're doing. So it's been a great community link for us.
So is all of the produce that's sold at the market from the garden?
No.
So where do you get the rest of it from?
We get it from Denver Urban Gardens.
Which is an organization that helps community gardens across the state and mainly in Jefferson County.
It helps people who don't have like a ton of space that can like farm and have trees to grow like peaches and orchards and stuff. It's more for people with just like 100 square yard places that want a garden there.
Right. So what were some of the hottest sellers this last year at your market?
Definitely the peaches we got from
Yeah.
Denver
Those are
Urban
awesome.
Gardens, because a lot of people bought them and we couldn't grow them there, so they were really good sellers.
We
Was
also had salsa recipes with the ingredients to make our homemade salsa.
Those were prepackaged and ready to sell after you guys actually did a demonstration. Do you guys
Yeah, we
want to
did a
talk about the
demonstration where me, Aaron, and Laura, we actually made the salsa and had samples there to show people what it tasted like and stuff. And then after we were done like giving it to someone, we'd say, you can buy this here, and then they go home and make it with all the ingredients.
We also did the same thing with bruschetta recipe, and we did the same thing by cutting up all of the stuff and making samples of it. And a lot of people bought those.
So I know you all will be moving on to 7th grade next year, but I wanted to talk about a little bit about what are the things that you hope continue with this garden going into next year, and what are some innovative ideas about things that you think next year's garden could be involved with?
I'd hope that we still have lots of more of the turnout for the farmers market this year. And as well as that, I'd also hope that we still have as many people coming into the garden and as many people helping with, we have garden work days where we come and work on the garden, have as many people come and help with that.
I hope that the teamwork continues between the kids and the teachers working there. I know that we had too many kids this time, and next year they're only going to be like 5 or 6. But I still hope that the teamwork continues of someone helping by, taking over a customer while one person goes over and grabs a certain amount of produce, or if we run out of something, seeing if there's any more currently in the garden.
So when will the market be open for this next year, and how long is it planned to be open?
It should open towards the beginning of September, depending on how much stuff has grown and how well everything's grown. And then it should go through the end of September and about maybe the first week in October at the very least.
So we have some resources at the district office that could help if you want us to help you. We'd love to do that. You can pass that on to your classmates, and we'll see what we can do. And sounds like you had a lot of great learning. So my last question for each one of you is, what is 1 or 2 things that you learned that connects back to the learning in the classroom, that goes through this garden, that's something that you know you're going to use in the future?
One of the lessons that I'm sure everyone who worked there learned was dealing with difficult people and dealing with helping someone get over a problem. One of the instances was we had just opened like 15 minutes, and a woman wants to buy one of the boxes of peaches. We had like 3 more in the back, and she wants to buy the whole box because she's making jam. And then a guy comes in and starts yelling at us, saying that it's not fair that just because she gets here early, she gets to buy the whole thing. And Tyler's standing there trying to tell him that we have more boxes, and I'm even standing there with an open box of peaches right behind the counter, holding the whole box of peaches, standing there, and Laura's behind him, just, again, trying to get him to stop. And we finally got one of the teachers there to pull him aside and say, 1, kids here, don't need to yell. 2, we have like 3 more boxes in the back. And we managed to get him to calm down, and he was only going to buy like 3. And he finally just stormed out without actually buying anything because he was so mad. And we
offered peaches, we offered more peaches and like some other stuff to him, and he just didn't want to buy anything after that.
That's too bad. What else?
An interesting real-world experience that
kidding.
might happen out in regular business, too.
We also learned about pricing, like the correct prices you want to put so that people will actually buy it and it won't seem too expensive.
Yeah, we had one point with the pumpkins that we had like multiple sizes. We had really small ones, we had full-size ones, and we had kind of medium ones, and then we had the Hubbard squash. And like we had this, all of them originally priced at like $5, and then we had to downsize to the smallest ones, which were about the size of a baseball, to 2, and then the medium ones to 3, and then the bigger ones to 5. And we still didn't get that many buying them because they still qualified them as too expensive. So we had to figure out pricing on different things.
We usually had enough stuff, but they were usually overpriced because we thought, oh, this is a good price, this is where we buy it at like King Soopers or Safeway, but they don't seem to like want to pay the same price at just a school farmer's market. And then we ended up like just pricing stuff lower, and then that's when we started running out of stuff before the end of the farmer's
So we
market.
learned supply and demand.
Yeah, we
Yep,
had an
good.
instance where we had a huge basket of cherry tomatoes. It was a massive basket. And we originally had them priced at like $2 a pound, I think it was. And we downsized it about like 5 minutes in because people weren't buying it, but a lot of the other stuff was cheaper, so we downsized it to like $1 a pound, and we almost ran out by the end, and it was like 30 minutes, and it almost ran out.
Lots of that also running out was the kids that were working there snacking on the cherry tomatoes.
Oh my gosh,
that's
we
probably
had
okay.
a lot of people, like when they thought people weren't looking, would like grab a small handful.
Ate
and
your profits,
eat.
huh?
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you three for joining me today. Mr. Lopez, I'd like to give you a one last opportunity to talk anything about the garden you want our listeners to know.
Sure. Again, it's just been a great community outreach at Little Elementary. We are all about bringing our community in as a resource to help our kids learn, and we are excited anytime they come to see us and see the great things that our kids are doing. So we're excited that you had us here today.
Well, thanks again for all of you for joining me on today's program. Remember, you can catch all of our Building Bright Futures podcasts on JPS-TV, Jeffco's official YouTube channel, or on iTunes. If you have a topic you'd like me to explore, I'd love to hear from you. Until next time.
This has been Building Bright Futures, a Jeffco podcast with Jeffco Superintendent Dan McMinimee. This is a production of Jeffco Public Schools.